I grew up in a Christian church. I grew up in a Christian school, and I was taught a lot of the stuff that the Bible says, but I actually truly didn't believe it. I thought it was all fake and that it was all just a story and that I shouldn't take it serious. And so when I left that Christian school, I just started to live my life the complete opposite to what the Bible said. But I knew it was wrong. Once I transferred to a public school, like everyone was smoking in the bathroom. They were kissing girls underneath the stairs. But the fact that I didn't want to do it, the fact that I felt almost like different than everyone else, it just made me feel a lot like really isolated, really separated from everyone because I couldn't relate to anyone really. I just knew that there was a bigger purpose to life and I just couldn't figure it out yet. And then I just felt so depressed and just lonely that I felt like the only way that I could stop being depressed and lonely was if I just fit in with everyone else. If I just did the same thing that everyone else is doing, maybe I would stop being depressed. That's what I did. I started to have a bunch of different girlfriends, had sex with them, and I thought that that would bring me happiness, but ultimately it just made me more and more angry because it felt like nothing was working. It got to the point where nobody even wanted to talk to me or even approach me because I was just so angry all the time. I just had this mean look on my face when I knew inside I thought I was a kind person. I genuinely cared for people deeper than most people care for others. But because of my depression and because of my anxiety and my loneliness, I was just angry with everyone and just treated everyone horribly. It got worse. As the years went by, it just got worse and worse. It turned into me just looking for some way to become extremely successful. The most successful 18-year-old man that ever existed. I would spend all night on my phone just figuring some way to make money with what I had. Because honestly, it felt like even my own parents didn't understand what I was going through. So I started searching for some way to just escape. I started looking into a lot of illegal methods. And I won't go into detail, but I'll just say that it involved scamming people. I started to actually get into contact with people who were doing this regularly, knew how to do it, made money doing it. And it was just part of their daily life. They would just talk about, oh, I just scammed somebody for $30,000. And everyone's like, great job. Tell me how you did it. And so my brain started to like become wired in that way where it was like, how can I benefit from other people? How can I take advantage of people to benefit myself? All this stuff that could get me 20, 30 years in prison, guaranteed. But I didn't care. I moved on from that to coming up with this ridiculous plan to rob somebody and to take the money and then get out of the house, to get rent paid and to just start my life over. Which is crazy to think about that we didn't even really discuss it. We just kind of abruptly agreed on it and just went with it. But it went horribly wrong. And I tried to lie myself out of the situation because the police pulled up. I got arrested. I went and saw the judge, and it was surreal. I would have never expected it. I genuinely thought it would never happen to me. I would never get caught doing anything that I was doing. By the grace of God, the charges were dropped. I didn't have to actually serve prison time or go to serve a sentence. It was a very impactful moment for me to go through that. But the problem was that I thought, since I already did that and I know how it works, I know how I would get out of it the next time because my brain was just wired that way. Fast forward, I don't want to yap for too long. I decided I'm going to go into college for music. So why don't I completely turn away from this whole criminal fraud lifestyle and turn it to music, turn it to creating art. It was great at first. I thought like this is going to be a great experience. This is going to be exactly what I've been looking for. But then I started smoking heavily. I told myself, I'm doing something productive. I'm building my career. I'm building my future. It's okay if I smoke. But day by day, I noticed if I didn't smoke, I was going to have a bad day. That's why I smoked because I thought it was giving me happiness. I thought it was giving me some sort of peace. I just needed more and needed more and needed more. I mean, I started smoking weed with like the little what do you call them? The pre-rolls. You just kind of stuff it in there, the cones. Not the pre-rolls, yeah, the cones. So you just stuff them in there and then you twist it and then you're high. That's how I started. And then it progressed into like I started using like tobacco leaves, graba, and all this other stuff that I knew it wasn't good for me. I knew. And I threw up a lot. All types of stuff was happening. But progressively, I started to have this very noticeable chest pain. It was something different. And the more I smoked, the worse this chest pain got. The chest pain was so bad that I actually called 911 in my apartment all alone. It's like 3 a.m. I just had the worst chest pain in my life. So I called 911. I go outside and then I got into the thing, into the little chair that they put you in. And they were like, do you normally get anxiety? And I explained the chest pain and they basically said that weed and anxiety don't mix. I said, thank you guys. Like, thank you guys for showing up. And I just kind of forgot about it and kept smoking. And one day my fingers were just turning pale almost. It was like the circulation, the oxygen in my body was like rapidly decreasing. And I felt like I was going to pass out. I knew that there was something that I was doing that was wrong. Right around this time is when I was at a Wawa getting a meatball sub. And I got pepperoni in my meatball sub. And this random guy, when I'm at Wawa, comes up to me and asks me and says, are you the guy that got the pepperoni on his meatball sub? And he goes, bro, that's genius. I would have never thought of that. And I was like, okay, thanks. But then he just kind of steers into this idea about the Bible. He's like, can I ask you a question? For what does a man gain in this world if he forfeits his soul? It just impacted me and it caused a war in my brain. It caused a war in my conscious. Because I knew like the music industry has so many artists that will openly tell you on the song, I sold my soul to the devil. And so I knew there was something spiritual about music that was more than just how catchy your song is. So when he brought that up to me, it brought that idea back into my mind. And I didn't know if I was ready for that. I didn't know if I was actually willing to completely go against what I knew was right and wrong. I didn't truly believe that I was ready. A second time, another guy comes up to me and I can't remember exactly what he said, but it just brought back that same memory of that guy. So I mean, at this point, I'm seriously questioning my decisions in life, telling me about God, about Jesus. And it's almost like I'm deaf to what he's saying to me. Like, hear the words, but it's in one ear and out the other. I'm not paying attention. But he prays for me. And at this point, unexplainable things started to happen, like supernatural things started to happen that just really made me very, very, very interested in the idea of Christianity, in the idea of Jesus. I felt like I could not deny it at this point. So I reached out to a Christian and I asked him, like, what is going on in my life? Can you explain this? Is there an explanation to these things that are happening? And he was like, this is normal. And I was like, there's no way this is normal. Like, how is this normal? This feels so abnormal, so out of the ordinary. And this guy's boldly saying, like, this happens to everyone who is being called to God. So I started to listen to him more, started to actually want to learn and listen to what he was saying. And then, boom, I just got hit with this immense, undeniable happiness, this undeniable peace, joy, love. I mean, my whole life I was depressed, anxious, lonely, and this just force just hits me and just impacts me after hearing the Bible, after hearing the gospel, and it brought me to immediate tears. Yes, I was depressed and lonely, but I always told myself, if I cry, then I'm weak. If I show weakness, then I'm weak. But I was crying. I was crying tears of just joy, genuine just love. And it just felt like the weight that was on my shoulders just came off, washed off of my shoulders. After that happened, my entire life direction changed. And I just got extremely focused and curious on God. I mean, all these things just drastically changed overnight. But the people around me noticed and they asked me, like, Brandon, what happened to you? Like, this is not the Brandon that I've always known. Because I went from being this angry, sad, and just dark cloud of a person to this bright, shining light that just loves. And I didn't think I was going to say this part, but I do want to include this. When I got saved and when I actually just devoted my entire life to God, my biological mother was afraid because she genuinely believed, and probably still does to this day, that my belief in God, my faith in God, was not supernatural, was not from God, but actually a drug induced psychosis. She genuinely believes that there is something in the THC today that is causing this uproar. I guess the younger generation, Gen Z, that is making them believe in God, that is causing this Christian movement. She believes everyone is under this religious psychosis. And it hurts me to have to say that. But my focus now is to give that same love that was given to me to everyone else, whether you're a believer or a non believer. Yeah,